Good evening, friends. Welcome back to Kardec Radio, and welcome to all of you who may be listening to this later on demand. So good to be back and to pray. And this program, we are praying for peace, and this is for world peace. But we all know peace begins within each and every one of us. So, as usual, before our prayer, we do a short message, and today's message comes out of the book Minutes of Wisdom, which is actually not a true spiritist book, really. It is a book by Carlos Pastorino, who he was a Catholic priest, but he converted to Spiritism, and he did a great deal of dissemination. And so this book is actually by him. But many people in Spiritism and people who live in Brazil especially use this book. It's not translated into English, but many Brazilians, Spiritists, all various forms of faith or religious traditions use this book. So it's not just a Spiritist book. So here's what Carlos Pastorino tells us. He says, all of nature is a divine harmony, a wonderful symphony that invites all creatures to accompany its evolution and progress. Hello, Slavic. Thank you for signing in. He goes on to say, be in your life an instrument of capturing the vibrations of peace and serenity of nature, and your health will find the necessary balance to prosper more and more. Live according to the laws of nature, and with your spirit, turn towards God. It's a very uplifting message. Just one more time, because it's so short. All of nature is a divine harmony. And we learn that, right? Especially the spirits when we ask. When this is a program, it's a program for peace, Julie is asking. So we actually have a short message and then we do a prayer. So again, this is Carlos Pastorino, and what he's telling us is all of nature is a divine harmony, and we know that in the Spirit's book, when we are asked, how can we better know ourselves, the spirits are always directing us to nature. And so we know just as we're evolving and progressing, so is the earth. And so we are feeling that effect of the evolution of the earth as well. And we have a lot to do with it. Our mental vibrations have a great effect. So he says, be in your life an instrument capable of capturing the vibrations of peace and serenity of nature. Because why? Because then we can have a greater effect. We can find ourselves living in a more harmonious atmosphere. And so we already know from a great saint, Saint Francis of Assisi, he talks about make me an instrument of peace. And he gives us all the guidelines and directions in doing so. Bottom line is really surrendering our selfishness, allowing ourselves to become more other-centered instead of me, my, and mine, to become more other-centered, for the other person, putting someone else ahead of ourselves. And he says there's an effect of that will find our health to be in better balance. And so he just says, live according to the laws of nature. And we know that the laws of nature are also the divine laws. And he said, your spirit turn towards God. So it's a beautiful message, very clear, very simple. And I think in honor of his message of be in your life an instrument capable of capturing the vibrations of peace and serenity of nature. And this being a peace program, let us use the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi as our prayer today for peace. and recognizing how we can become instruments of peace. It's not an easy order, right? When he says, where there's hatred, let me bring love. It's not always easy. People are not always welcoming of love when they're in a hateful state. So let us close our eyes, relax the body, relax the mind, open our minds, open our hearts, and let us feel the vibrations of this prayer and let it settle into us, wash over us, just like a nice warm shower. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is injury, let me bring pardon. Where there is discord, let me bring union. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. Where there is error, let me bring truth. Where there is despair, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. And where there is sadness, let me bring joy. O Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in forgiving that we are forgiven. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. And we thank all the spirits, especially those spirits on high who have gathered here today in support of this prayer, those who have come to listen besides us, those who have come to learn as well. And maybe even those spirits that don't like us so much. With a sense of gratitude, we ask for your protection and your blessing as we close this prayer session. And so be it. So be it, as my friend. So let us just remember this prayer, and you can Google it. You can find the St. Francis prayer everywhere. But maybe we can just pull out one little line. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. One little line that we might be able to practice this week with someone else. Thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to praying with you again next Sunday, same time, same station. Kardec Radio, where we're always nourishing our souls. Many blessings.